Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, the Sandra Massey Effect. More racial terrorism toward Black women. Collectively, nothing will change. And let me add another word inside of that title. More racial terrorism toward American Black women. Collectively, nothing will change. See, this system didn't do that to Sandra Massey because she came from some sectionalities of some beautiful Caribbean islands. Their demographics are minute in the US. The bad seed, racial racism terrorist ones, they don't do things like this because someone comes from the ancient continent of Africa. The demographics of allowed numbers of certain sections of within Africa are still minuscule in comparison. It's minuscule. So they didn't do that because she was a woman from within sectionality of Africa. They saw Sandra Bland as a Black woman. And more or less, they can tell overall American Black woman overall, with some exceptions, of course, because sometimes, different names and things like that may have still the Americanized version, but may be from certain sections within Africa or certain sections within the beautiful Caribbean, etc. So some things are a little bit more difficult in general, but we're talking about collectively. So we're not going to play that little tactic. But getting to the story, when did racial racism terrorists, bad seed versions, the one that applies to the bad seeds, when did they ever stop? Again, the one this applies to, when did they stop being bad seeds and sectionality within certain enforcement? When did they stop? Like any other industry, you have some good people, some bad people. But this industry is a very deadly one because anytime a person's life can be taken. And there should be a lot more responsibilities and not a lot more consequential outcomes when bad seeds make these racial racism, terrorism acts. But supremacy understands that that's not going to happen because they are the most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed. And they're not going to allow it to happen. Because Black pain is enjoyable pain to them. And so this system already has a vile, hardcore hatred of American Black men already collectively. And again, I'm not talking about sellouts and silly ones and coonish ones and the ones that are so naive they can't even tell what's right in front of them. And they think because they have some external things and maybe a nice little car, nice little place, or etc. like that means not a damn thing. The list is long of how many people got reminded that have those external things. But relating to the story, it's unfortunate that there is a sectionality, unfortunately, within American Black womenism that still haven't got it through numbers within their thick skull, the ones it applies to. That they are not a mountain to themselves, the one who does this. See, supremacists are eyeballing as well numbers of American Black women because this system, they get tired of sitting there giving Black pain to American Black males. It's like a little cat playing with a little yarn or playing with a little plastic mouse. This is how they look at numbers of millions of American Black males in society, with few exceptions. So they get tired. And so they look at the American Black women as the next type of person that they're going to show more racial racism terrorism to. And unfortunately, there's quite a number of American black women that don't even understand. So when they use the ones who do, which is quite a lot, feminism, the word feminism, as if feminism has its history in helping out black women. And this is what under white feminism, this is what they do when they hear uh, numbers of American black women talking about walking around talking about their feminists or black feminism. Yes, that's what they do. And unfortunately, there are numbers of American black women that haven't got it through their skull. This system has a secondary hatred toward the American black woman. Now, Sandra Bland was only around, what, 36 years old? Had two teenage kids, a boy and a girl. You think this racial racism system give a damn about that? Again, I ask, when did racial racism terrorism stop having intersectionalities and certain enforcement having bad seeds? When did it stop? Since still a couple of centuries plus slave patrols. Huh? And then you're talking about now a long time ago. Let me sit there and show you this for a second. Give me 1 second here before I get into the videos I'm going to show. And I'm doing this as a timepiece purpose. So unfortunately, what happens when racial racism terrorism strikes again toward another American black woman? What then? Give me 1 second here. Let me sit there and show something. One moment here. Boy, it's a sad thing. One moment here. Here we go. Waiting room for colored only. Excuse me. Can't you see that? Waiting room for colored only. Excuse me. Play that again. By order. And depending where you're going at, still even later on after that. Intersectionalities, right? Of former segregation, pseudo signs, and overt pseudo segregation. Let me show the first video on this. Let me show this first video. Before I do that, when I said, when did it stop? Before Sandra Massey, July 2024. Today is August the 8th, 2024. So that happened July 2024. Atayana Jefferson, 2019, American black, right? Life removed by racial racism terrorism. Sandra Bland, she was only around about 28 years old, right? Her life was removed, racial racism terrorism, under extremely mysterious circumstances in 2015. Breonna Taylor, she's only around about 26 years old. Racial racism terrorism struck her by bad seeds 2020. So this is just the latest one of Sandra Massey of the American black women being racial racism terrorized by certain numbers of bad seeds. When did it stop? So let's go ahead and get into this particular video, first video.
Family of Sandra Massey today as we learn more about Massey's death. A coroner confirms the Springfield, Illinois woman died from a single gunshot wound to the head after she was shot in her home by a deputy responding to her 911 call about a possible prowler. Roxana Saberi has more on what CBS News has learned about the former deputy's troubled past. In the morning, some of the video is very hard to watch.
The autopsy reveals the bullet hit Sandra Massey under her left eye, then exited from the back of her neck. After Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson and his partner responded to her 911 call.
You called us.
Body camera video reveals the moment Grayson shot the mother of two in the face after asking her to check the stove.
I won't play that other part, so let me a little bit forward.
Massey's autopsy report lists gabapentin, a nerve pain medication, and THC, the active ingredient in cannabis.
You said the first beginning part when former officer Sean, racism terrorism actions showed up.
Springfield, Illinois, she was shot in her 911 call about a Roxana Saberi.
Well, listen to what he said.
The autopsy revealed after Sangamon County Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson and his partner responded to her 911 call.
You called us.
You see the deranged tonality in his voice. You call us. Now, would he have had that same tone if it was a woman in general from within certain sections within the Phenomenal-based culture? See, he wouldn't have had that same tonality of disgust. Of course not. But of course, she has some kind of African background and right there in front, or she has some kind of, Caribbean background like that. It was obvious. They saw black skin. And so it is such a insult when there are American blacks who allow people who know they are the ones who are doing it, that slide under the banner of black, right? And can slide back out and say, I am from this particular tribe or this village in certain sections of Africa, the one that do this, are from certain parts of the Caribbean, etc., slide in and out. But American blacks are not supposed to have their own culture. Again, for some of the good numbers of African personnel, credit, who know what's true is true, to some of the good numbers of Caribbean personnel who know what's true is true, credit given to the personnel. But again, there are however numbers of ones who know they are that have a vile hatred for an American black, and a lot of times out of jealousy. But that's a whole different topic in itself. Let's continue with the second video on that.
Comes as CBS News has learned new details about Grayson, who worked for 6 different law enforcement agencies in 4 years.
The sheriff and I will not tolerate lying and deception.
New audio recordings from the Logan County, Illinois Sheriff's Office, obtained by CBS News, reveal Grayson was reprimanded in November 2022 for writing false information in his police reports.
7 months on, how are you still employed by us?
I don't know.
State records show Grayson resigned in April 2023 and was hired by Sangamon County 3 days later. And defense officials tell CBS News that in 2016, Grayson was discharged for misconduct from the Army after he was charged with driving under the influence of alcohol, one of 2 DUI charges on his record.
But, oh, no, it's not a but. See, this is a kind of pseudo. It's a pseudo, look the other way, kind of hireness in a situation. The one this applies to. See, this is the opposite of a pseudo DEI. This is just normalcy. The one this applies to who allowed this stuff to happen. Change the dynamic. This was an American black man. Oh my goodness, it would have been, oh, it's a DEI hire. Right? Right? Oh my goodness, affirmative action.
Comes as CBS News has learned new details about Grayson, who worked for 6 different law enforcement agencies in 4 years.
The sheriff and I will not.
Comes as CBS News has learned new details about Grayson, who worked for 6 different law enforcement agencies in 4 years.
My goodness, man. Again, if this would have been, no, if this had been an American black woman, oh, it definitely would have been, oh, that's a DEI hire. Oh, it's affirmative action. Oh, they got on because, they're not qualified. Oh, but they won't talk about, oh, how many certain numbers of women within, I'm talking about the ones it applies to, certain sexuality within certain parts of Panama-based culture of women, how many of them are hired under DEI? Oh, you best believe there's a definitely push out there. Supremacists knows this. People got marching orders who they need to be trying to hire. This is as if this is just as certain numbers of women within the Panama-based culture and some others are considered minorities. You see how that goes, right? Numbers of women within certain sections of Panama-based culture are considered minorities. So didn't have those same ass heinous hatred by American blacks toward numbers of women within Panama-based culture. That don't make any damn sense. Didn't have to worry about Jim Crowism affecting numbers of women within the Panama-based culture, right? Lynchings toward numbers of women within the Panama-based culture, etc. That was going on toward American black women more than any other woman in society, in this country, in Americanism. No other woman no other women compares to the American black women that's went through the treachery and hatred. Oh, what about what we call Native American women? Man, you don't go to hell with that damn tactic. How many numbers of what we call Native Americans enslaved American black men and American black women? So go to hell with that tactic, right? We're not going to play that tactic. That's a whole different tactic in itself. The ones who know they are, that play that little game, they know what they're doing, the ones who know they are. So let's continue with the next one. Again, a pseudo kind of hiring under Anglo sectionality, normacy, kind of sort of affirmative actionists. Because affirmative action didn't start for American blacks. It started for a number of personnel within the Panama-based culture to help them try to get their lives a little bit better. Like there's a book called When Affirmative Action Was White. And there's however other different books out there. Just give an example. But through twisted, nonsensical, brilliant supremacy, they have gotten people thinking affirmative action has something to do with black. And he got some little knucklehead personnel from no Pacific culture, the ones who know they are, that want to be honorary person within Panama-based culture. They run their asses over here, the ones who do, that had this mentality, the ones who do this. And have the nerve to look down upon American blacks. For without the American blacks, many cultures and backgrounds, ethnicities wouldn't even wouldn't be in America. And American blacks better get that shit through their damn skull for the millions to stop allowing people to sit there and just continuously disrespect within American blackism. It's a disrespectfulness on that. What's this next one? Peace. Details. Showing.
I'm trying to get help. A woman home alone who called police for help over a possible intruder, but instead ended up with Deputy Sean Grayson. What? Grayson, who's now charged with a murder, had a troubled career that began with a stint in the Army, a discharge for misconduct, then followed by more accusations of misconduct. We checked your front yard. During his time in law enforcement, described as having trouble obeying orders. We're at the end of 2nd Street, she's taking out a right. Like with what happened here at his 5th police job when he refused an order by a superior at the Logan County Sheriff's Department to terminate a high-speed chase over a traffic infraction. His speed at times reaching 110 miles per hour. Are you pursuing? I'm about to terminate. She's flying up 121 right now. But Grayson didn't stop. He did, however, turn off his lights and siren, but kept going anyways until he hit a deer. Well, I'll definitely be terminated because a buck just smacked the side of my driver's side door. Flying up 121 right now. But Grayson didn't stop. He did, however, turn off his lights and siren, but kept going anyways until he hit a deer. Well, I'll definitely be terminated because a buck just smacked the side of my driver's side door.
It is such a disturbing, but the normalcy of it, of the liability of certain bad seeds by however numbers of personnel who know they are that are allowing this to happen. Who are allowing this to happen because transpose this, and if it was American blacks that were in various types of enforcement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and this was happening toward numbers of personnel within the predominant culture, especially numbers of women, you think this would be tolerated? It would not. Do you not know that how quick, as fast legislativeness would have been done quite a number of years ago on that, if this would have been American black men that were doing this to certain women within the predominant culture? This would not be tolerated. Let me play one last video because it brings it home, because sometime within American blackism, there is some naiveness and too much of an openness. And there are certain sectionality, certain problems within certain parts of American blackism. And where do you think that stuff comes from? Because prior to the 1950s, 1960s, prior to 1970s, American blacks weren't sitting there using that disgustinality of the N word, which the N word should be abolished and never to return. It's like 1 minute you hear the N word being used by however numbers of other personnel from Panamese culture, and some other honorary personnel who want to be honorary people within Panamese culture. Some numbers of immigrating this person who know they are, don't know a damn thing about true American black history, and walk around using the N-word, the ones who do, especially behind closed doors. And you have numbers of American blacks are utilizing that disturbing word. Do you know how that sounds on that? This last particular video on this. Let me fast forward this. All right. Wait, here, huh?
And say, well, now, you can practice this part of your religion. You know, if you want to have a picnic or something like that, I don't mind that. You know, if you want to clap your hands or you want to sing and whatnot, I don't mind that. Just help yourself. That's not bad for my business. But if I want to kill people and all like that, you better not start saying, thou shalt not kill, and then start interfering with me while I'm doing my, or I will kill you. And they have proven that they will do that. And people fear that. And they let people know. Now, you can have as many gods as you want. But when I tell you to do something, you better jump. Like I'm your God. Because for all practical purposes, I am. Now, you might have a God in heaven, But I'm the one who rules you on this planet. So you can sing about after you're dead all you want to. Just don't mess with me while we both walking around on the same planet. Because this is my planet. You don't own none of it. And you don't have anybody anywhere in the spiritual world or the material world that can help you when I get on your case. And most people, so far, have backed down when the voice of the white supremacists come into the picture. And some of them haven't backed down, and most of them who didn't back down are dead.
This is not a game. This is truly not a game on this. This is not playing with some Plato-ness. This is not trying to find, some person behind the mask of the Wizard of Oz. This is reality. And just like, unfortunately, multi-millions within American Blackism have no idea about what's heading toward the direction, while all this black pain is going on toward American blacks. And this system is going even harder on American black women. You got people arguing down about if Kamala is black or not, and arguing about that left and right. But you don't hear nobody from Kamala's mother's side, Indian, arguing down people online and battling people. And you surely don't hear from Kamala's dad's side, being, I guess, half Jamaican and whatever, however on that, right? You don't hear that side arguing left and right because Kamala wasn't raised up in a Jamaican household like that. So you don't hear either side jump up and down arguing like numbers within American blacks arguing about that she's black. You see how that goes, right? And even when a person else says they're not going to do anything for black folks, which that also would include not doing anything for American black women. But you got numbers of American black women and some sellout guys and some paid off guys and all that other stuff, some gullible guys, and they're arguing down, talking about Kamala, she's black, because of that old bad Trumpism. And the sad part about it, it's almost like how people forgot, especially within certain sections of American blackism, with few exceptions, that there's other people that also to vote for beside the presidential election in November. Do you see how that sounds? There's other candidates in different categories that are up for elections to be voted upon that also is extremely beyond important. And you got numbers of personnel within American blackism, the ones it applies to, talking about only some presidential election. And this is why I just say again that unfortunately, within American blackism, modern day only have half a generation to one generation left before the overall complete destruction of the overall black culture. And to know that, unfortunately, there is certain sectionality within American black womanism, one applies to, who are arguing down and coming across very vile toward known as American black men. I don't need no man. Man can't do nothing for me. They can do all bad by themselves. They don't want no broke man. They don't want no lazy man. All of those nonsensical stuff. Acting as if the ones American black women that are doing this nonsense, acting as if they are amount to themselves. Right? Again, this is why, within American blackism, only have modern day only have half a generation to one generation left before the overall complete destruction within American Black culture. I thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.